ever made, stand behind me, bus, if you will, just awful green light movies that should never have ever graced the screen. And look, you could argue Rocky 5 is one of a couple of Rockies that should never have made it. I mean, what they did to Caddyshack and The Babe, these are just awful decisions. Bus stories, mind you, that were propped up, major stories, stuff that was built off prior years or seasons, dare I say. I got to be honest with you. If Nikola Jokic doesn't win the NBA championship this year, but wins a third straight MVP, we need to put him up on the wall. Put him up on the wall. This is now Rocky 7 or whatever the fuck, Creed 9, whatever they're up to now. Enough is enough is enough. Add him to the wall. At least right now, best record in the West by a little bit. Win the damn thing, will you? 3 in a row. Larry Bird at least won a championship. Goodness gracious. I know he won more. I'm just saying. You can win one. 5 bets, 5 minutes. It begins right now. We go 4-1 last night. 4-1 last night. All right, that's DraftKings. I'm going to tell you all about that in a second. But what I want to do is bring you on over to OddsShopper Premium for our first 2 plays, okay? We're going to do 2-player props, 3 sides. Worked for us last night. Let's go to OddsShopper Premium. First thing I'm going to do here is shop the NBA bets. Shop bets, NBA, and I'm right here. I'm looking at DraftKings because that's where we're going to head. Top 2 plays. The first one's Jamal Murray, under 33.5 PRA. They're on the road. They're taking on Memphis. Memphis is pretty damn good defensively. We're not focusing on the Joker. We're focusing on the other element that Memphis is going to try and shut down. It's going to be tough. Rebounds, assists, not so much if Jokic isn't scoring. It's going to be a tougher matchup just all around for Denver from a defensive standpoint going up against Memphis. So Jamal Murray under 33.5 PRA makes sense. But as we move into Miles Turner under 9.5 rebounds, these 2 plays are beating the market. So this isn't based off, like OddsShopper Premium is not based off projections. It's based off this bet on DraftKings. In this case, these 2 bets on DraftKings are beating the market. In fact, all these bets are beating the market, but we want at least a 2% XROI, to build off. Miles Turner staying under 9.5 rebounds.
Good. Let's hit the like button, everybody. Get us off to a good start. I see 100
even before they can see us, we're telling people to like the video.
Absolutely. We've already got 100. These are smart people. We got almost 1,000 watching. Good times. T McBee's in there riling everybody up. Sean V.
Oh, love it.
The V for victory. I see Obi-Wan's in there. Vic David Figueroa. The Flim Flam Man. All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac. I hope this is like riding a bike because it's been a couple weeks since I did a show. Neil and I were all geared up to do the NBA All-Star show, and then formats changed. Contests weren't going to happen until after the draft locked, and then it took an hour and 40 minutes before the game tipped off. Neil, I'm glad we didn't do a show. I don't think we would have been that helpful.
Yeah, especially if originally I was supposed to be the analyst, and I was like, I've never played NBA All-Star Game DFS. Believe it or not, I am a huge degen. I do not play NBA All-Star Game DFS. And then I was going to just like on Sunday, I was going to spend hours trying to figure out what the hell you do. And then of course you and I talked and we were like, okay, no, you should be the analyst instead because you know what you're doing. But then, yeah, I was pretty happy to have that one canceled because I wasn't really excited about playing it anyway.
I was ready. I had a 3,500 word article breaking
I know you were ready.
There is. So I don't get to be the analyst all that often, but here we are. I'll have to slide in a little analytics tonight. I had a great night last night. We'll talk about that. It's always fun, but we are brought to you by PrizePicks. So you guys are going to want to check them out. You sign up through the link below us here in the YouTube description. You roll on over there. You're going to get a deposit match up to $100 with that first deposit. You put in 10, they give you 10. You put in 50, they give you 50. Put in 100, they give you 100. Those funds come out of your account first. It's a one-time offer. Definitely want to take advantage of that. And then you also get, by coming in through our link, 30 free days of Stokastic Premium. Once you've gone through our link, I keep saying this, you got to go through our link. If you do this incorrectly, then we don't get credit for sending you over there. And you don't get the 30 days of Stokastic. That's the crazy part. So you got to follow the rules. Neil, there's rules everywhere. There's rules everywhere. EMac, you cannot leave me on this stream tonight. Greg froze up last night. His computer froze up, and I was left by myself. Ethan Hogman in chat saying, don't get rattled. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I was not prepared for this. I was just prepared to like, you throw questions at me, I'll answer them. And then suddenly, like early in the show too, so like we weren't like in any kind of rhythm. I was like, I wasn't planning on like hosting, coming up with my own content here. So you can't leave me, EMac, because again, I have not prepared to do a solo show here. All right. Well, we'll try, because remember 2 weeks ago when we did do the show, I kind of we had a brownout thing here and the router reset. I fortunately didn't lose internet, just the router reset. So it took a minute for us to get back. That was after lock, but we're staying on after lock for another 30 minutes. All brought to you by PrizePicks. We'll focus on their site when we get there, but let's have some fun tonight. We've got a 6-game slate. That's going to go off in 54 minutes here. I want to remind everybody we have launched a brand new channel. It is the over on OddsShopper. It's the OddsShopper Golf channel. And then we're doing a whole new show. We're doing a new series debuting on Monday. Every day, Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Eastern is going to be the new betting show. This is going to be, Aton, the ultimate degen. It's going to kind of anchor the show. By anchor, I don't mean bring down. That guy hands out 20 bets a day. It's pretty crazy what he does. He does a really good job of that. But he's going to be joined by Lofty, Ben, Greg, Lindy, etc. I may make an appearance over there because I've gotten into the sports wagering stuff. Of course, it is during my workday. But tune into that 4 o'clock, the debut on Monday. All right, Neil, let's do our first game here. We've got 6. The first one we're going to talk about is Indiana at Orlando. Both teams mostly healthy, both teams on an island. This is an island game. We have the Pacers are 2.5-point underdogs heading into Orlando. 230 total when I pulled this down about 35 minutes ago. It looks like that's where it's holding firm right now. Take us through this. We've got when everybody's fully healthy, it gets a little crowded with Orlando. They have some nice options, but they sort of cap each other's potential upside. It exists, but the frequency and knowing who's going to get there, that gets a little tricky. And then with Indiana, we know it's going to be Halliburton. We know it's going to be Miles Turner, but we have thousands of centers somehow, even though there's only 12 teams in our player pool. Take us through the Pacers here for starters.
Oh, the Pacers. Sorry, I was gearing up.
We try to go visiting team, then team.
Okay. Yeah. So Pacers
on-air meeting.
We love it. There's nobody that like for me is a slam dunk for the Pacers, but there are a lot of kind of middling options in my opinion. So starting with going straight to value, Andrew Nembhard looks like our best value on the Pacers, but still, I mean, it's not something I'm excited about. We have him projected for 23.5 minutes, 17.5 fantasy points. We've got some decent value on this slate, nothing like incredible, but some decent value. So I don't think you necessarily need to play a ton of Andrew Nembhard, but he's maybe in play. He's our top point per dollar play from the Pacers. Miles Turner, I think Miles Turner always in play. Like, he's just one of those guys that he's always live to have a big game to put up a huge fantasy total. He projects fairly well for his $7,300 price tag. He's already just point per dollar, looks like a solid play. And we know that Miles Turner always has the upside for more. Aaron Nesmith again looks fine. We have him projected for about 28 minutes at 4,100. He's not a great point per dollar player, but he's got a decent value at 4,100. He's probably his projection is right around 5x. Buddy Hield, similarly, projection right at 5x. He's 6,100. We've got him projected for 32 minutes tonight. He's basically a point per dollar player. So Buddy Hield, obviously, and he's a guy that obviously has upside, can get hot. I don't know. I guess you could play Tyrese Halliburton. He's 9,400, not the best point per dollar play on the slate, but only projected for 8.4% ownership. That is kind of interesting. Tyrese Halliburton, 8.4% ownership. I actually do think I'm going to have some interest there. I think those are the only guys that I'm really interested in. It's a 6-game slate, so you can get a little bit, different, but there's nobody here that really stands out as somebody I really want to play. If you want to play Mathurin, I guess you could. How about you? Anybody else that you want? Anybody you really like from the Pacers, or anybody else you want to talk about?
No, it's just going to hit on those players there that you touched on. In the event somebody's randomly scratched, we'd like to think that isn't going to happen coming out of the All-Star break, but it is the NBA, and wonkiness happens double time on Saturdays. But those would be the guys I'd want to focus on. I see somebody is mentioning that Jonathan Isaac was ruled out. Sorry, my computer's kind of going slow right now. I will say, great. As we move over towards Orlando there, he's been playing about 12 to 14 minutes. It's really not going to change much. I don't believe anybody's really going to get any direct minutes as a result of that. They're just going to spread those around to people. Keep in mind that Isaac did not play in the 2021 season and the 21-22 season. So he missed 2 full years. He's only played 11 games this year. He played 16 on the 23rd, 16 minutes, that is. So I don't think that's really going to move the needle. Markelle Fultz, somewhat interesting. Upside slightly capped for him. Yeah. Go University of Washington Huskies, I will say that. You've got Franz Wagner is a solid option. Paolo Banchero is reasonable. Wendell Carter Jr. is reasonable. If any of those guys on your DFS side of choice have power forward eligibility, especially with the latter two, that's going to be better. If they're center eligible, well, again, we have a cast of thousands.
Paolo
tonight.
Does on DraftKings. Paolo has power forward eligibility.
What do you got for us here for Orlando? Because here it's like they all look neutral. Yeah. Somebody ends up on my lineup, I'm not going to get mad. Nobody ends up on my lineup, I'm not going to have FOMO.
Okay. First, I want to respond. Joe LaCate said that I painted the picture in my background on LSD, and that is not true. My wife painted that picture on LSD, but get your facts right, Joe. So jumping.
It looks like it's on canvas. I didn't know it was on LSD. But
that is such a dad joke, EMac. Oh my god. Okay. Wendell Carter is our top point per dollar play of the slate. He's 6,500. Obviously, a guy who can spike an upside. We've got him projected for right around 30 minutes, 34 fantasy points. Looks pretty good at 6,500, not like a smash play. Again, this is just a game where everybody's healthy. So it's like we're not finding any like great value here, but a lot of decent enough options here. Wendell Carter looks pretty good. Franz Wagner, as you said, looks like a pretty solid point per dollar player at 5,800, projecting for about 31.5 minutes, 30 fantasy points. Solid enough. Moritz Wagner, again, a solid value option at 3,400. Again, when I say solid, I mean he's 5x essentially is what his projection is. We've got him projected for around 17 minutes. It's tough to really spike an upside in 17 minutes, but he could obviously put up 25 fantasy points in 17 minutes, and on a 6-game slate, that's going to look really nice. He is only center eligible, so that is kind of a knock against Moritz Wagner, but 4.6% ownership feels about right to me. He doesn't really stand out in any way. Cole Anthony just not really getting a ton of minutes, but at 4,600, we know he is a solid fantasy producer. If he gets, spikes an upside in those minutes, he could certainly spike an upside in the fantasy points as well at 4,600. So he's a fine option. 7.5% ownership, again, feels about right. I do like Paolo Banchero at 7,500. As you said, he's power forward eligible. That helps. He is 7,500, projects just under 5x, 36 fantasy points in 33 minutes is what we have him at. But that is, he's certainly in play at the power forward position. As you said, Markelle Fultz, kind of tough to hit an upside. We've only got him projected for 31 minutes. But again, it's a 6-game slate, so he's, in play. Like I probably wouldn't play him in a 9-game slate because you really need to hit upside in a 9-game slate, but Fultz could probably hit 40, and that might be enough on a 6-game slate. So I do think Fultz is in play. Maybe you could play Jalen Suggs. We've got him project for 21 minutes. Again, could spike an upside. I guess we'll see. I guess Jonathan Isaac is out, so that will change things a little bit. Some of these guys will get slight boosts, and that might be enough to bring some more Magic players into play. But I don't want to speculate. I'll leave that to our projections guys. They're really paying attention to the rotations, how we're expecting these minutes to be spread out. And honestly, I don't make those kind of determinations. I wait for our guys to do it, so I'm going to wait for them before I really give anybody a big boost here. But that's kind of how I see it right now with Jonathan Isaac in. As you said, I don't think that there's one player who's going to directly get those 12 minutes from Jonathan Isaac. It's going to be spread out, but that might be enough. I mean, some of these guys, if they get 3 extra minutes, that's going to be enough to make them interesting. So I'll wait for a projections update there, but so far those are the players that I'm interested in.
Yeah, that kind of wraps things up for this game. We got 45 minutes to go. The Heat and Charlotte game, that's the next one. Most of our other games actually have intriguing things here. We either have people who are out, we've got teams on back-to-backs, or we have some questionable players. So that's going to make the rest of these a little interesting. This is the first time I remember really riding out for a team. Both teams are currently healthy, did not play last night, and not playing tomorrow. That doesn't seem to happen all too often here in today's NBA. Reminder to everybody, we'd appreciate it if you guys could hit that like button. It does help us out tremendously here. I see we have almost 1,500 people watching, just 250 likes. We can get up to 500. Come on, just a little something for everybody here. And we're cresting towards 87,000 subscribers. We're already up here to 86,900. That is a pretty cool number. I'm sure we will do something wild and crazy when we get to 100,000, but let's get to 90,000 first. But we'll get there by going over 87. I'm going to give you guys a little deal here. The NBA lineup generator. This is a lot of fun. I've been building out, when I have time, some 20 maxes, both on DraftKings and FanDuel, utilizing the lineup builders. So it's similar to like an optimizer, right? It's going to do the work for you. But what it does is it takes all of our projections, our ownership, everything, puts it together, allows you to choose a type of build that you want, tournament, contrarian, chalky. You can do this for DK and FanDuel, the main slates. I'm sure we will have it ready for the showdown slates as we head towards the playoffs. We also had it for the postseason for the NFL. I used it for the Super Bowl. It's a lot of fun. It's very simple. You just click on the old generate button for your site and slate of choice. You look at the lineup. Do you like it? Keep it. You don't like it, hit discard or next. You can start, they're adding features all the time. You can start clicking on the players to say who you want or get some of them out of your player pool. Once you've saved, and you can save as many as 20 lineups. Once you've got the lineups you want saved, you can hit export. They come out in a CSV format. You can upload those into the templates for DraftKings or FanDuel. It's very, very helpful, especially if you're coming in late. What this does here is you're unlikely to duplicate lineups with others. We're taking care of that part of the magic on the background, but it's building out viable plus EV lineups based upon your decisions. So it's pretty nifty. I like to just play around with it and kind of see what happens, because as you learn, when you start playing that and you put on contrarian and you push it, you're still getting some chalky players. And the people that you're getting aren't these extreme 1% and 2% guys. It's 6% and 7% guys. It's very, very helpful. And that's something I think we need to learn for NBA, that you don't have to go completely peeing into the wind and calling it rain. Don't do that. Not fun. Baseball, different animal, but yep. We're with NBA for, I believe there's 42 more days left in the regular season.
Is that right? I don't think about it in terms of days, but I believe it.
That's a long time. That's about 6 weeks. About 6 more weeks, much like Puxatawny Phil. We got 6 more weeks of regular season NBA. But you can get this all for 50% off your first week. It's $8.95 after that. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good deal. Bijal, who is in our, you'll see him in the YouTube chat. He's in our Discord. He has 3 different 5-figure wins, and I believe he had a $50,000 payday. Wow. And he was rolling up some. I believe he was doing some parlays yesterday that came through for him. I was staying up well past my bedtime for my fun little victory. We'll talk about that if we get a minute. But I cleared $4,000.
Let's talk about it now, EMac. Yeah, EMac won the Yahoo slate. He made just 2 entries in the main Yahoo slate yesterday and took it down $4,000. It's a nice little payday.
It was definitely fun. I had 3 players in the double overtime game. That was nice. At the start of overtime, I was just barely making money, and then I kept climbing up the board. It was a fun night. I'll drop the link to my tweet in chat here so you guys can see my team. But that was a good time. Yeah, Neil, staying up way too late. That's why I'm drinking coffee right now, because I went to sleep about 1:40. I got up at 6:30. It's just, what us old guys do. But let me drop that link here.
I like that you still get that excited about.
Vast majority of my players were in the DFS building blocks article. You can get that on the homepage of the Stokastic.com website every single day that there is NBA, and it is for free. So check that out. All right, now we're going to have some fun. Now we've got some analysis here. We've got 2 teams on a back-to-back here, Neil. We've got the Miami Heat, 5.5-point favorites here heading into the Queen City, taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Miami is going to be without Kyle Lowry. This is the 7th game he has missed with the knee issue. Last night, they lost 128-99 in Milwaukee. Tyler Hero played 28 minutes last night. That led the team, so nobody should be too tuckered out. We did get to see the debut of Cody Zeller as well as Kevin Love. Kevin Love looked a little bit rusty. It had been a full month since he had suited up and played. He hadn't played for his last few weeks when he was there at Cleveland. So he is supposedly going to play tonight. I don't think we have that starting lineup yet. It'll be interesting to see how he acclimates in, but he's $10 over there on Yahoo. That he was a key player in my victory last night. I'm hoping he'll be a key player tonight. So we do like him over there. On the Charlotte side, PJ Washington listed as doubtful, highly unlikely to play, hurt his foot last night. Again, I mentioned this is a back-to-back. So Charlotte actually won 121-113 in Minnesota, just handing Neil's team's head on a platter back to them.
Very I got to watch it live. How lucky was I?
Oh, were you there?
I was there, yeah.
So you saw LaMelo Ball play for 40 minutes. Gordon Hayward played 32 minutes. Kelly Oubre played just 23 minutes, but he'd been out for 2 months. We'll have to see if he's going to play. Their team's looking a little thin. We even got to see, who is it? Thor.
JT Thor was starting.
Yeah, he played some center minutes there, or maybe it was Washington, but we didn't get the Richards-Williams splitting 48 minutes. This is a very interesting situation here with the new players over there for the Heat, as well as some tuckered out players for Charlotte. Take us through the Heat here. Do we trust anybody under Coach Spoelstra?
Do we trust anybody on the Heat? I mean, it's a great matchup. Like, how do you not want to play some Heat guys? So Kevin Love, I think, is kind of the most important to talk about here. He is, I think, our best value play on the entire slate at 3,800 still, assuming he starts. If Kevin Love doesn't start, I don't think I'm going back there at 3,800 just because I will be very concerned about the minutes. If he gets to start again, though, I mean, last night he played 22 minutes. He put up 20 fantasy points without making a single basket. He had actually a very nice night, but lost time due to the blowout. He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter, so lost a full rotation. Had already played 22, so I think he might have been on pace for like 28 minutes last night, and he was just gonna absolutely smash. So that was a little bit of a bummer for those of us who had Kevin Love locked in last night. But if he gets to start once again, great matchup with Charlotte and the Heat guys. I mean, we talk about how many minutes the Charlotte guys played. The Heat, none of the starters played more than like 25 minutes. I don't have it in front of me, but I was looking at earlier. None of them really played.
Hero was the most at 29. The rest of them were mid to low 20s.
Okay. Yeah. So Hero played some minutes, but most of them just did not play that many minutes. Now they have a great matchup with Charlotte. under the assumption that Kevin Love starts, he is going to be once again probably my highest owned player on the slate. I don't know if I'll lock him in, but I don't think it would be wrong to lock him in. We've got him projected for 46% ownership. That is fair. I mean, if he's going to play, if there's a possibility of Kevin Love playing 26 to 28 minutes against the Hornets, he's just going to eat up the Hornets. So yeah, I like Kevin Love quite a bit. After Love, it's Tyler Herro looks decent. He's projected for about 36 fantasy points at 7,100, 34 minutes. Looks good. Jimmy Butler, 9,200, only projected for 1.4% ownership. That's actually really interesting to me. 1.4% ownership for Jimmy Butler. I mean, the price tag is high at 9,200, but again, it's a 6-game slate and he's got this matchup with Charlotte. I actually do have some interest in Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo getting a bit more ownership, 14.2% ownership. He's a little bit cheaper than Butler, projects a little bit better than Butler. So it makes sense that he's going to get more ownership. But I kind of love that ownership number on Jimmy Butler, 1.4%. That's really intriguing to me. So I do actually have a lot of interest in Jimmy Butler in large field GPPs. I guess, or even like mid-sized GPPs, he's going to be really interesting. Bam Adebayo, more like, he's probably going to be on a lot of people's rosters, but he should be. Tyler Herro, similar, looks pretty good. I don't know about any. I don't think I'm going to be playing any Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus. Yeah, so I think it's just those guys for me. It's Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Herro, and Kevin Love. Those are the only players I'm playing from the Heat, with Kevin Love being clearly the one who's going to be in most of my lineups if he's starting. And then Jimmy Butler, a really interesting contrarian option for me. How do you see it?
So I was in shock. I was like, who's that tall guy? And I say farewell to a few brave soldiers every morning as they get washed down the drain. But I'm like, I think Kevin Love had a beard and a lot of hair. Who's the hell's that balding guy out there for the Heat? Cody Zeller. I'm like, is he still in the league? Apparently he is. Last night was his first game of the season. Played 16 minutes there off the bench. He was languishing away elsewhere. He only played 27 games last year when he was with Portland. I remember me game here for Cody Zeller for all those years in the Queen City. I'm very nervous about going back to him. I don't know how he's going to fit there in the rotation. I'm a little more dubious of Kevin Love as well as he starts to work into the rotation. You guys mentioned that, he didn't make a single shot last night. He wasn't really looking for his shot either. I suspect a combination of rust, new team, just kind of trying to figure things out. Ultimately, I think we'll see his usage bump up just a little bit. And remember, usage is basically the play ends with you, either via a shot or a turnover, essentially, is how that's measured here. But he does, his career, even if we harken back to his Minnesota days, he's counting those, he's like a 20% career usage. He doesn't get a ton. And a lot of that was front loaded with his days with the Timberwolves. So I'm still willing to go to him, particularly on Yahoo, where he's $10. I want to see him in the starting lineup. If Love is not in the starting lineup, I'll probably bail on it.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that's an extreme take, but it's kind of a bind. It's like yes or no. And if no, I will just move on without him. Totally fine with that. There are other options we can go to. I just would hate to get, a short-changed 16-minute night where he gets 3 rotations and he doesn't play late in the game or something like that. And it's like, wait a second. We lived last night. We lived large because we had the triple overtime. I need more than 12 or 15 fantasy points from him tonight. 20, anything less than 20, not acceptable, even at the minimum on Yahoo there.
Agreed.
Charlotte side of things, does it make you nervous that Mr. Ball is playing a gazillion minutes?
That he played a gazillion minutes last night?
Last night, the game before that. He's just been playing heavy minutes on a team that's really going nowhere. I was listening to, and this was an older episode but during All-Star break, I listened to Neil Orfield's High Stakes podcast, caught up on quite a few of those. And I started listening. I haven't listened to the Bill Simmons in forever, but I wanted to listen. Can't remember if it's their trade value or their team ranking episode, but he was talking about Charlotte. They had only made 3 playoff series like in the last 15 years or what, like since Jordan has owned them and they lost all three, two of them they were swept. Yikes. I didn't realize it was that stark and bleak during the Kemba Walker years, but I guess it was. So are they really going to run ball into the ground going nowhere? That just, I have a hard time seeing more than 37 minutes from him tonight.
Yeah,
I can see him bail
like
out at 34
number.
if the game's out of hand. That just makes me a little bit nervous with John Morant right there at a similar price point. But take us through whatever you like here on Charlotte.
Okay, so the most recent back-to-back was the 10th and the 11th. They played at Boston and then Denver, and Ball played 38 minutes followed by 35 minutes. So he did see a slight downtick there. Prior to that, the second and the third, he played, interesting, he played 36 on the first night of the back-to-back and then 40 on the second night. So maybe they allowed him to play a little bit more because he had not played 40 that game. So I guess it doesn't concern me as far as, or it would not concern me tonight, except for the fact that it is a back-to-back. So I think I'm with you. It seems unlikely that they're going to play him for, 40 minutes tonight on the second night of a back-to-back. But again, if they're keeping it close, maybe they, I don't know.
It's at home.
They don't really have
in front of Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And the fans. Maybe.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to gauge. But yeah, I think 37 minutes seems like a reasonable projection. He's not a player like I loved LaMelo last night. I don't think that I really love LaMelo too much tonight, just because it's a tough matchup anyway with the Heat. So do we really want to be playing much LaMelo? I don't. I currently have, I think, one lineup with LaMelo out of 40. So I think that's probably about, I'm probably comfortable with that. We've got him projected for 12% ownership tonight. That seems like a kind of high number to me, as opposed to last night where we had him projected for single digits. He actually came in, I think, around 11 or 12%. So it was more reasonable, but not a ton of interest in LaMelo. Terry Rozier, once again, none of these guys are going to really stand out to me just because it is such a tough matchup with the Heat. You could consider playing Terry Rozier. Gordon Hayward just went completely off last night. I didn't even notice it until after the game. I noticed he was having a nice game. I did not realize how nice the game was until after the fact, that he put up like 60 fantasy points. I think that Gordon Hayward is, they're not going to be running Gordon Hayward out there for 40 minutes. I'm more confident in that than LaMelo. So don't love, we got him projected for 33 and a half minutes. Projection of 28 at 5,900. He's in play, but the field's getting there around 10%. So not like some great contrarian option in Gordon Hayward. Mark Williams only played 17 minutes last night. As you said, JT Thor played some center minutes. So maybe that gives Mark Williams a little bit more upside now that JT Thor is starting, is expected to be starting alongside him. Maybe he doesn't cut into Mark Williams minutes as much. I don't know. What do you think? I think Mark Williams is in play. I'll say that. I think he's in play in a large field GPP at 5,600, because if he does get up to like 30 minutes, even in this matchup with the Heat, he's just such a solid fantasy producer that he's going to probably put up a nice score if he plays 30 minutes. I think it's unlikely that he plays 30 minutes, but the JT Thor starting alongside him definitely increases his chances a little bit. So maybe you could play some Mark Williams. I don't think I'm playing anybody else from Charlotte. Nick Richards, I guess Nick Richards looks decent. I wouldn't play them together. Nick Richards and Mark Williams, definitely make a group there. If you're thinking about playing both of them in your lineups, I would make a group saying not in the same one, but we've got Richards projected for 19 and a half minutes, 18 fantasy points at 3,600. That's serviceable. JT Thor, I don't know. We've got him projected for 22 and a half minutes. Does he have upside for more? If JT Thor plays 30 minutes, then maybe he becomes interesting. He is the flat min, so I guess he is in play. How are you feeling about these guys? Anybody you want to touch on?
Anybody that makes it in the lineup, I'm going to be okay with. I'm going to just be a little bit nervous with the guys we want, because most of that is going to be ball, and it's a back-to-back, and the Heat still are reasonably good on defense, their team scheme, and nice little rhyme there, and they didn't really play a ton last night because they were getting soundly thrashed for a large majority of the game. So it's not like they're going to be particularly tired. We did get the Heat starting lineup. It is going to be as expected: Vincent, Hero, Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo.
Nice. Yeah. So Kevin Love, I'm going to go right back there. Putting up 20 fantasy points with 0 shots made. He's going to be looking pretty good here.
All right. Well, you know what? Over under, you're absolutely correct. The game last night, it didn't go into triple overtime. It was only double overtime, but they did score 1 million points. So I'm going to give myself a pass, and I'm just going to think back to the $4,200 I won on $60 in entry fees over there on Yahoo. Okay, I'm all better now. That made me feel better. All right, we got this. We're going to speed it up.
All right,
Don't
we'll
worry.
speed it up.
Don't worry. New Orleans Pelicans at the New York Knicks. Obviously, Zion Williamson is out with the hamstring issue, had a setback. This is an island game for the Pelicans. They're 10-20 on the road. The Knickerbockers, this is a back-to-back. They won last night in Washington, 115-109. Julius Randle, 36 minutes. Jalen Brunson, 39. Quickly off the bench for 30. We got to see Robinson come back. We'll have to see what's up with the conditioning. Again, it was a thumb issue, so we think it's going to be okay, but he missed a ton of time. Played 28 minutes last night, and there are many options there for Coach Tom Thibodeau. Talk to me here about the Pelicans. They're looking like another one that's relatively neutral here.
Right.
Ingram, McCollum, Brunson, and Randall, knock yourselves out. I'm good with any of them. No screaming values today on this team, either team.
The whole game, yeah, it's once again another game where we just don't. We have teams that are relatively healthy. Obviously, Zion missing, but Zion's been out the whole season, so doesn't really affect things all that much. Yeah, you can play Brandon Ingram, projected for a 7.2% ownership, 40 fantasy points at 8,500. You know, you obviously need him to spike an upside there, but he's capable of spiking an upside. CJ McCollum, similarly, we've got him projected just fine at 7,600. He's not standing out as some great play. These are all guys that I would sprinkle into my lineups. They all look like, you know, the ownership numbers are reasonable. 7.2% for Brandon Ingram, 5% McCollum, 7.2% for Jonas Valanciunas. We've only got him projected for 25 minutes, and we've got him projected for 30 fantasy points. So if he spikes an upside, I think JVal might be maybe the most interesting of the group, just because his minutes are kind of all over the place. And actually the past two games he's played 31 and 29 minutes. So I think those are, let's see, how many games has he played since? Okay, so he's only played one. He played one game. Maybe those are the only two games he's played post All-Star break. Were they thinking about trading JVal? I think that was my impression, was his minutes were more limited because they were maybe he was on the block. Now the trade deadline has passed. He's played 31 and 29 minutes. Was that your sense also? That was kind of what I was thinking, is that the Pelicans are, you know, maybe
I don't think they know what they're doing with him.
Yeah.
When there are paths for him to play more, he's been playing well, they've yanked the rug out from him. Larry Nance Jr. I think he was injured in one of those games, but he was back for one of those games. That really doesn't seem to be quite the direct impact. Willie Hernangomez has fallen out of the rotation. It's just they've got enough players there. I think if they were playing, heavy crunch time, we got to win, I would like to think he'd be in there. I don't know what this team is doing because they're so on the fringe. And if they don't get Zion back, it's just, this is yet another lost season for the Pels.
So my theory was incorrect. So he played two more games post trade deadline. The trade deadline was on the 9th, and he played the 10th and the 13th, and he played 24 and 25 minutes those games as well. So it wasn't a direct correlation of trade deadline passed and his minutes ticked up. But again, he has played 31 and 29 minutes the past two games. He's a great point per dollar player. If he gets back to 30 minutes, we're going to have him projected for, let's see, 30 minutes, he would be at 36 fantasy point projection at 6,100. He would be an absolute smash play if we had him project for 30 minutes. Obviously, the minutes aren't something you can trust. We've got him at projected for just 25, and at 25, he looks fine. But he certainly could spike an upside in the minutes. So I think JVal is probably the most interesting to me of anybody on the Pelicans, just because he could spike an upside in minutes, and he's a great fantasy producer when he is on the floor. Nobody else that's a real priority. Josh Richardson, you can play at 4,200. We've got him projected at basically 5x, just over 5x value. But yeah, nobody else who really stands out as anybody I want to play from the Pelicans outside of the main guys of Ingram, McCollum. You could play Josh Richardson as a fine value. And then JVal, I would say, is the one I'm most interested in at 7% ownership, with the obvious upside there if he sees decent minutes.
Yeah, the only hard thing with Valanciunas, he doesn't get blocks and steals. Literally does not get blocks and steals. His last 10 games, 2 steals, 1 block. That's not an average. That's a total. 2 steals, 1 block. That's the one downside. But he can rack up 15 boards. He can score at will. It just, is he going to get the opportunities in there to do it? Is there anybody you want to touch on aside from Randall, Brunson, and Quickly for New York, knowing that we still have 3 more games to go?
I think Mitchell Robinson is fine. As you said, he played 28 minutes last night. He's a decent fantasy producer. If you can project him for, 28 minutes, he's going to project okay again tonight. So I'd say he's the only other player on the Knicks that I would really think about playing outside of Brunson, Randall, Barrett. Did you say Barrett? Barrett is somebody that
I did not, because I don't want to play Barrett.
Okay.
If he sneaks into my lineups because Fantasy Cruncher hands him to me, so be it. I don't think I would ever click on his name. I don't know what he's doing anymore. He's like middle class version of Cam Reddish, maybe. I just, what gives? What gives?
So I think that he's in play just because the minutes are so sporadic. The price tag is down at 5,700, which feels low after the year he had last year. But you're right. It's been all over the board. I think that he is in play in large field GPPs. I think that I would consider playing some Barrett. Randall, Brunson, Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. I think those are. Josh Hart, has he played any? We've got him projected for 25.5 minutes. He played 27 the last game. He hasn't been
he has a path to 32. And it's if he catches Thibodeau's eye, if the light comes in and hits him in the right, just the halo, all of a sudden he's going to get 32 minutes. And we're going to go, why the hell did we not play Hart? That's what he does. He rebounds. He plays great defense. He's a little undersized. It's Tom Thibodeau favorite. He is like the deluxe version of Taj Gibson, the modern version of Taj Gibson.
Josh Hart? Oh, yes. In the sense that in the Tibbs sense.
How the hell is he on the court still for Tibbs on multiple teams? This is Josh Hart is the new one. When Tibbs is coaching somewhere else besides the Knicks, Josh Hart will be coming with him. Book it.
I do not consider Josh Hart all that similar to Taj Gibson.
No, fantasy-wise, underachieving, gets out there without world-beating talent, etc., etc. He's grit and grind.
Oh, do we have a super chat? I'm seeing.
We do. Just check in on chat. See what they've got. Sent a super chat in yesterday. Love the commentary. Mr. Orfield saw something about mentioned New Mexico. That's where they're from.
Oh,
they're
impressed.
No question.
That's funny.
Yeah. No question. EMac, congrats on Yahoo. Had one lineup. He finished dead last with Nets players. Tends to happen.
Sorry to hear that. No, we did get a question about tiers also. So
I've got that up. So let me see. I was planning for that question. Tier 1 over on DK is going to let me get the filter set up correctly, but it's going to be Valanciunas. Pardon me, it's going to be Jokic there by a mile. Joel Embiid would be your direct pivot. I would eschew Ball and Tatum. They're coming in just way too below that with their median projection. I think it becomes a bit of a question on tier 2. Ja Morant has a 3% edge on James Harden. I think you can coin flip there. I don't mind Julius Randle. And I think if you want to go in tournaments, you can go with Tyrese Halliburton. But if you're going on raw points, it's going to be Ja Morant. Perhaps his game log watchers will be a little nervous. Tier 3 is pretty clearly, to me, Lauri Markkanen. I like him for 50 fantasy points tonight. He has a median projection of 46 right now on DraftKings. He's competing against Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. They didn't play a ton of minutes last night, so they should be relatively fresh. They're both within 10% of him, but for me, it would be Lauri Markkanen. I would pivot just a little bit here. I would roll the dice with Jaren Jackson Jr. in tier 4. Brunson comes in with the 5-point median projection advantage. I'd still go with Jaren Jackson. Tier 5, Jordan Clarkson and Keldon Johnson are the top 2. Looks like Keldon Johnson in-day non-COVID related illness, a little rumbly in his tumbly, probably not going to play. Clarkson will be the popular pick. I would go with Miles Turner here, just to be a little bit different. And then the final one, you've got a 3-way tie, essentially, with Walker Kessler, Zach Collins, and Wendell Carter Jr. I would probably lean towards Walker Kessler, particularly since there's a chance we're going to have no Kelly Olynyk. Zach Collins probably will play about 30 minutes, soft cap there for from Popovich. We'll talk about that when we get there. And then Wendell Carter Jr., not horrible, not great. Could he make us regret it? Maybe, but that's why it's a three-way tie. But that takes you through the tiers.
Yeah, we got the Charlotte lineup. We had already been they had already announced that JT Thor was going to start.
Yes.
PJ Washington was out, so that doesn't really change anything. The lineup is exactly as expected. Ball, Rozier, Hayward, Thor, and then Mark Williams. So yeah, all the players we were expecting because PJ Washington was doubtful. It's already reflected in our projections.
All righty, let's roll on to the next game. Denver Nuggets at the Memphis Grizzlies. This just in, Nikola Jokic, pretty good. Now officially averaging a triple-double on the season. He has as many triple-doubles as the next three players combined. He's good. There's really not much else to say. Aaron Gordon will be out. We think most likely Jamal Murray will be playing. Zeke Naji is going to miss a sixth game with a shoulder issue. Denver does play tomorrow back at home against the Clippers. So keep that in mind. If the game is decided relatively early, one way or the other, there's a decent chance these guys are going to get half of the fourth quarter off. Just have that in the back of your mind. But until then, they do have the best record in the league. And looks like Jokic on his way to a third MVP. That will be the first time that happened, I believe, since Larry Bird in the mid-'80s. If Jamal Murray is playing as we are expecting him to, he's the next guy up. I think that's pretty solid. You get to the John Konchar versus Vlatko Čančar fun tonight. You can listen to the announcers going back and forth here. I do want to point out, as my final thought before turning this over to Neil, in the 12 games without Steven Adams, the Memphis Grizzlies are the fourth worst rebounding team in the league. That's very, very important because that's another way that we can see a triple-double get there for Jokic. Take us through this game, dance around both sides. So we have 14 minutes until lock.
Yeah, I mean, so starting with Memphis, Steven Adams still out, otherwise still very healthy. That's the kind of what we've been seeing throughout on this slate. A lot of healthy teams. John Morant, obviously in play, projects really well for 1,000. I'm going to have a lot of John Morant. He's only projected for 18% ownership at 10,000. I do like John Morant quite a bit. Desmond Bane, we're projecting for under 5% ownership at 7,900. I think he's an interesting tournament play. Obviously doesn't project all that well, point per dollar at 7,900, but Desmond Bane, certainly a guy who can spike an upside. Actually, I'd say the exact same thing about Jaren Jackson Jr., projected for just 3.8% ownership. We're projecting for 31 minutes, but if you can stay out of foul trouble, obviously Jaren Jackson could spike more minutes than that. We're projected for just 3.8% ownership at 7,700. None of these guys all that great point per dollar, but I would say both Bane and Jackson interesting contrarian plays in large field tournaments. John Morant going to be 18% owned, but certainly in play there. Dylan Brooks, I think, is in play. He actually looks like a pretty nice value at 4,100. We've got him projected for around 22 fantasy points in 28 minutes, and he's not afraid to chuck it. If Dylan Brooks gets hot, he could spike an upside at 4,100. So I do like Dylan Brooks a little bit. Don't really have all that much interest in Santi Aldama. Brandon Clark, I guess Brandon Clark. Actually, I'm getting to a lot of Brandon Clark currently. We're projecting for over 26 and a half minutes. So at 26 and a half minutes, we've got him looking pretty good at 4,600. Was it the last game that he was like benched at halftime? Yes, it was. So a little bit of risk there in Brandon Clark. We've got him projected really well. Certainly risky after getting benched for the second half of the last game, but I think he's probably going to be starting once again. So I guess pay attention to the starting lineup. If Brandon Clark is in the starting lineup at 4,600, he's going to look really good. So that'll do it for the Memphis side. On the Denver side, you named it. Nikola Jokic looks great. I've got him in over 40% of my lineups currently. Don't mind that. He is I believe the highest projected player on the slate. I'm not going to go back and look right now. But yeah, Aaron Gordon out in this one. So that helps a little bit with Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. are going to look a little bit better. I don't have a ton of either of them. They both look like fine point per dollar plays. Bruce Brown looks like a fine point per dollar play, but no real priorities on Denver outside of Jokic.
All right, we've got a super chat here from Joseph Corona asking the 5 best FanDuel cash options. Apologies, I am not playing on FanDuel tonight. We're having a little tete with their customer service and me. They are wrong. I believe I am correct, so I'm a little annoyed with them. That said, no problem. We can cover the cash games for you there. I think Taylor Horton Tucker and Jordan Clarkson are going to be your keys to the cash game on pretty much any site, especially over there on FanDuel. They qualify at the top 3 positions: point guard, shooting guard, small forward. Of course, Horton Tucker has the small forward and Clarkson has the point guard. I think you can go to the $8,600 Lauri Markkanen in there. He would be the guy I would want in my lineup as well. That gives us 3 of them. I would like to, if at all possible, I'd like to build around Nikola Jokic. If I cannot, then Walker Kessler is going to be my nice also ran. 3 points for blocks and steals on FanDuel. He has let's see, in his last 10 games, I believe he has multiple blocks in 8 of them, and I think 6 of them he has 3 or more, and I think in 2 of them he has 7 blocks. That's a lot of fantasy points. Try to get him in there. We know Kevin Love is in the starting lineup. He has power forward, shooting guard, or power forward, center eligibility. The power forward eligibility is key. He is just $4,000. He would probably make the cut for me, as would Zach Collins, who you could put in as power forward. Probably going to have to give up Jokic for that dream, but hit on the three or 4 people from Utah and probably work in Love and or potentially Zach Collins. That would be the route I would go over there on the blue site. Anything else from Denver or Memphis? Shall we get on to our next?
Yep, let's move on.
EMac is DFS's Karen.
Ooh, because you contacted customer service for FanDuel. That's
Oh, no. I will just real quick. I was making a risk-free first bet. I'd never played in FanDuel Sportsbook. I wanted the $3,500 one that they were offering. They said I could only get the $1,000 one because I had already had a DFS account. I did everything they said. I put it in, and now they're saying, oh, you used money from your DFS and not you didn't deposit special for this, so we don't want to give it to you. I get that. I understand the 2 wallets. That's how DK did it. Guess what? I didn't have the 2 wallets on FanDuel. They just had one, and it took the bet. So I didn't think I needed to deposit. So all I'm asking them for is to just say, I'll deposit $5,000. You give me $1,000 and play through. I'll play through a bunch. So we're in a little tete right now. But yeah, no, I reached out before I made the bet. That's what you're supposed to do. I tried to clear the pathway because I didn't want this to happen. That does not make me a Karen. It makes me a prudent person. Crying, screaming, and throwing things, that would make me a Karen. I'm not. I'm just annoyed with them. Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, Boston fully healthy for once. Wow. Philly almost fully healthy for once, except for Dwayne Dedmon, who has yet to appear for them. 225.5 over under here. This is the Saturday ABC game of the week. I really like Jason Tatum here. He fits in nicely on Yahoo. I think he's the path to getting some tournament upside here. He's going to be less than 5% on across the board. That's the biggest standout play for me here. I would say take the under. We'll talk about PrizePicks in a minute, but take the under on Embiid's rebounds. We'll let my dog out here, but do you like anything from these fully healthy teams? We got to have a splash here from somebody.
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to go through this game really quickly because we've got 9 minutes left. And I think the most important game on the slate comes up after it. So I'm just going to touch really quickly. Yes, you can play Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. They're coming in at low ownership. They're going to be interesting plays. Marcus Smart in play, maybe Malcolm Brogdon. I don't have a ton of interest there. Robert Williams, always a guy who, can spike an upside. He hasn't really done it for me the last few times I've tried playing him. Projects fine point per dollar. He's under 5x point per dollar, not a high priority there. There's really nobody from Boston who I would call a high priority on DraftKings. It's just the main guys. Tatum, Brown coming in at relatively low ownership are at least interesting. And then Philadelphia, I would say, is kind of similar. I mean, Embiid, Harden both project for under 5x, but we know that they have huge upside. The prices reflect kind of the upside they have. So they look like interesting plays. You can certainly play them, but not like huge priorities for me. I'm actually getting the most of Tyrese Maxey from this game at 5,300. He projects really well for us. We have projected for 34 minutes in this game. So Tyrese Maxey, a player I'm going to have a good amount of. Tobias Harris, I'll have a little bit. DeAnthony Melton, I'm going to have a little bit just because he's 3,500. We've got him projected for 23 minutes. Projection of 18 at 3,500 looks okay. I think that's it for me in this game.
All right. Now we get to dessert. This is the key one here. We have 8 minutes left. We're going to stay on for another 30. We're going to talk bets. We're going to talk PrizePicks. We're going to talk about how you can get 30 free days of Stokastic premium content. But we do want to say San Antonio Spurs, you've got Trey Jones out. He's already missed 4 games with the sore foot. Romeo Langford out. He's missed 13 games with the groin injury. And Isaiah Roby out. This will be the 3rd game he's missed with an ankle. Devin Vassell's been out for the last 23 games. You have Keldon Johnson downgraded today with an illness. Little rumbly in the tumbly. You've got Jeremy Sohan should be playing. He missed the last game with a sore thigh. You've got on the Utah side, Colin Sexton is out. This will be the 2nd game he's missed with a hamstring injury. We're waiting to find out what's going to happen with Kelly Olynyk. He hurt his ankle in the last game. And then Rudy Gay, a little bit of a nose fracture there. He was upgraded to probable, likely to play tonight. We're still waiting on the Olynyk news. However, this is the ultimate mix and match game. The key thing before I hand this over to Neil, I want to remind everybody that it's very, very hard to get more than 30 minutes from Greg Popovich this year. Currently on the season, only 2 players are averaging more than that, and they are barely over that. One is the aforementioned Devin Vassell, and the other is Keldon Johnson. Trey Jones is close. I think you're going to see Devontae Graham probably get close to there tonight. You're going to see Malachi Branham probably, I think that's his last name, get close to there tonight. And you're probably going to see Collins get close to there tonight. I don't foresee many people going over 34 minutes. Just keep that in mind. That said, phenomenal environment here. 241 over under. Neil, can we play everybody from this game? Remember, you got to play one player from another game, but then everybody else from this game.
Yeah. I mean, this game looks phenomenal. Just starting with, so Keldon Johnson is very important, obviously, because if Keldon Johnson plays, he projects extremely well for us, point per dollar. We've got him projected for 33 minutes, 38 fantasy points at 6,900. I have a ton of Keldon Johnson currently, and that scares me because I don't know. I think he's probably more likely to sit than to play with the in-day downgrade. But if Keldon Johnson is out, then yeah, we're going to have a lot more interest in a lot of other players on the team. I already like Devontae Graham. I'm going to like him even more if Keldon Johnson is out. I think Keita Bates-Diop will get a jump there. He's currently, I'm not getting to any. He doesn't project all that well point per dollar. He's going to look a lot better if Keldon Johnson is out. I think he would certainly be in play with Johnson out. Charles Bassey is one of our better value plays on the day at 3,500. We've got him projected for around 20 fantasy points in just 16 minutes. Maybe he sees a little upgrade if Keldon Johnson doesn't play. Malachi Branham probably sees a little bit of an increase, and he's already in play. Zach Collins already in play. So yeah, the Spurs certainly one of my favorite teams to target on the slate, regardless of whether Keldon Johnson plays, because if Keldon Johnson plays, I'm going to prioritize him. If he doesn't, I'm going to like a lot of other players on the Spurs. And then as far as Utah goes, I think Walker Kessler is going to be in play regardless of Kelly Olynyk's status. What is the latest on Olynyk?
Still
THT.
questionable.
Okay, yeah, still questionable. THT is just gonna. So pay attention to the starting lineup. I don't think that it's guaranteed that THT starts, but assuming that he does, which is certainly likely here with Colin Sexton out, we're going right back to him. He projects for around 33.5 fantasy points at 5,500. Looks really nice. He's going to be one of my highest owned players and could spike, an upside for more. We've only got him projected for 29 minutes. He could play more than that. So I like some THT. I like some Walker Kessler. Jordan Clarkson going to be shouldering more of that load for Utah. I like Jordan Clarkson at 7,300 and Lauri Markkanen in play at 9,300. Obviously, the price tag is pretty high, but I think Lauri Markkanen still is going to look pretty nice at, he's coming in at 20% ownership. That feels about fair. I'm actually under the field on Lauri Markkanen right now, but I think he is in play.
All right. We've got 4 minutes to go. How are you doing on your lineups? We will stay on for another 30, but we're going to make sure Neil gets his lineups uploaded.
All right. Let me upload some lineups and let me just point out that I think that we're getting some overlay in this XFL showdown. At least last time I checked, we were. So if any of you are true degens and want to take advantage of some overlay, that's getting closer. We've got about 5,000 out of 5,900 with 3 minutes left. So we're going to have at least a little bit of reduced rake, but not any kind of huge overlay there.
Yes. I do want to mention Charles Bassey. He is back up from, I'm assuming he was in the G League, but with the trade of Jakob Poeltl, he is in the mix now. I think he has a reasonable chance here to play about 12 to 14 minutes, but if anything happens to Collins, he's going to be the next guy up. I think that is a good spot to consider here. Yep. And let me just go through and make sure I'm not getting enough Walker Kessler. I got an awful lot of Keldon Johnson. We'll have to adjust that later. We'll take that out in post-production, Neil.
That's right.
Oh, yep, let's just say play 5 players from the last game. And let's hit that little button. I'm going to export. I'm going to upload. And then we're going to spend the next half hour talking prize picks. It's going to be fun. Everybody hit that like button. If you hit that like button, it has been proven to get an extra 5% to your fantasy scores. It doesn't show up to the naked eye, but they are there, and it does help you win more money. Let's upload this, and we will be good to go. You know what worked for me last night? Not playing that first game. That gave me the time I needed to maneuver things around, get where I wanted to go. But There we are. All right, we're good to go. Back to chat. Let's call that up because you got us for another 30 minutes here. Let's see. Nothing too crazy. I see people saying, oh, so-and-so for the Spurs played 34 minutes each of the last 2 games. Yes, I'm just saying on the whole, Popovich has not really been running anybody into the ground. And if you go back in, I think they have 2 overtime games in their last 10. So just be careful with how you're trying to extrapolate that. I would look over the overarching season. He's not running too many people into the ground at this point. So just keep that in mind. And especially now that they have Collins, he's the feature going forward. Is there a need to play him more than 30 minutes per game? Probably not.
We've got multiple people in chat saying they're going to play some Chris Dunn. It's interesting.
Oh boy, we didn't really mention that. Chris Dunn on a 10.
Got him projected for 12 and a half minutes.
Joking up there because he's on a 10-day contract.
Yeah.
He has, I think, 6 days left on it, maybe 7.
Played 17 minutes in his first game.
The days are running around. Yeah. So he made an appearance, 17 minutes, 5 for 10, 1 for 4 from beyond the arc. He got 2 steals. That is going to help him.
So we only ever project for 12 and a half minutes. If you put his projection at 17, he projects for 20 fantasy points. So it's interesting.
All right. 3, 2, 1 lock. We good. All right. Chris Dunn, not like he used to be. That's probably why he only has played 1 game this year. 14 the year before. There was injury for how many? So Chris Dunn has been in the league for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons. How many games do you think he's played? 82 games per year.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm going to go with
play 560.
I'll give him 250.
Oh, look at you, Neil Orfield. 246. I'm going to say you won. Congratulations.
He was on the Timberwolves for I don't even know how many years he was on the Timberwolves.
1. That would be his rookie year before he cruised on over there to Chicago.
Part of the Butler trade.
The Butler, that Cleveland trade. All righty, we're going to move on over here to PrizePicks. The one nice thing about PrizePicks, well, you still got 10 minutes. Well, 9 now. They lock their cards when the game starts, but they'll default it to 10 minutes past the hour. So that's you can get in all your DFS stuff. And now we can maneuver over here to PrizePicks, take a peek and see what they have. If you go through the link below us here in the YouTube description, sign up. If you do not yet have a PrizePicks account, your first deposit will be matched by them up to $100. You put in 50, they give you 50. Put in 100, they give you 100. You put in 200. Congratulations. Big Bank Hank, they're still only giving you 100 because it's $100 deposit match. Those funds come out of your account first. You build out player prop parlay cards there, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Go 6 for 6, and you get 25x. Go 5 of 6, you get double up your money. You get 4 for 6, you get I think it's 30% back. Similarly on the 5 for 5s, I like to play 2, 2, and 3 cards. I occasionally. Mr. Eric Lindquist has taught me the value of the 4-question power play card, 10x. That trying to go 5 of 5 to get that 10x versus 4, it's a little easier. I'm just saying the math is there. The math is there. So we're going to talk about that for a moment here. Did you not get to anybody in particular, and who terrifies you from those results
in DFS? Let me see.
DFS. I'm calling up some other stuff here so we can go full on.
Yeah.
PrizePicks.
Let me see. 1 second. I'll sort by salary. So I'm not getting to. Ooh, I have 0 Jason Tatum. That scares me a little bit. I can change that though if I want to get some Tatum in. I know you like Tatum quite a bit. It's coming in at just 6% ownership. Yeah, I might want to get a little bit of Tatum into my lineups. Also 0 Jaylen Brown. I mean, that could be one of those games where it's just super competitive. Boston at Philly. That could be a really fun game with some big fantasy scores. So it scares me a little bit not having any of those guys. I also don't have any Brandon Ingram, and I think that one, no, that hasn't locked either. So I can adjust that if I want to. Currently, I don't have any. I talked about Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson. I don't actually have them currently. Can I change that? Yes, I can still change that. So yeah, all the players I didn't get any of, I can still change that. So nobody who really terrifies me. I played a good amount of the Heat guys just because I love the matchup. So that's going to prohibit me from playing some of these other guys. But yeah, I want to see what Jimmy Butler's ownership actually came in at.
All right. While you're poking around with that, I want to remind everybody we've got the prop page over here for PrizePicks. We also have the Bet Pro, which not only has PrizePicks, but it also has No House Advantage, Caesars, BetMGM, PointsBet, FanDuel, DraftKings, and it aggregates all the best bets. This is kind of the raw data version of OddsShopper. Different products. OddsShopper is utilizing the algorithms of the sharper sports books versus the other sports books to try to figure out who is stepping out of line and where we want to wager. This is using BetPro is using the Stokastic DFS projections, looking at those same lines across the board and figuring out where we ought to go. It is a lot of fun checking this out. It makes it easy to find wagers. And so if you're playing, like, especially you don't have sports wagering in your state, but you've got PrizePicks or you got No House Advantage, it's a pretty good product for you where you can slide on in here and get these. Our number one wager right now on PrizePicks would be the Brandon Ingram under of 1.5 3-pointers. We have them for 1.2. That's a 65% success rate there over on PrizePicks. The thing you want to remember, these are dynamic, they're moving lines, but you don't have that juice, right? Now, what PrizePicks will do that some of these other sites don't, that have similar formats to them, is they will play even numbers, or they will hang even numbers. What happens when you get a tie in your PrizePicks card? All they do is just take it out of the card, move you down to the next payout structure, and you're on with your day. So if somebody doesn't play or scratches, that's okay. They just get a 0. You tie with their prop, they just come out of your card. They also are doing reboots. They announced this last night. So for someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo the other day, who played the first half, got hurt, did not play in the second half, they gave everybody a reboot, meaning if you had chosen the over, they took him out of your card. That's it. If you chose the under, they still honored it. Okay, they're going to do this through the end of the NBA season. The trick is your player has to play in the first half and then not come back for the second half due to injury. But that's a nice way to get to have a helpful out. PrizePicks does a lot of stuff to be engaging for you. Taco Tuesdays, they'll put up 3 different players throughout the day where they'll kind of take a haircut and shave off about 20% of a particular prop. You can put up to, it depends on the day, $20 or $25 on that. You could do like $5 wagers, or you could do one $25 wager. That's a lot of fun. Flex Fridays, your first all flex card of everybody playing on Friday, they give you a refund up to $20 if you don't win. I play a Flex Friday 6X every Friday, Neil, because I want to get that $500, darn it. And when I inevitably don't, I still get my money back. Insight credit, which comes out of my account first. It's not even a playthrough. So I'm telling you, PrizePicks is the place to go.
Yep.
So what are some fun ones here?
Can I just throw something other? So Josh Richardson is starting again. I think I just want to touch on that once again, because we only had him projected for a little over 21 minutes. He started the last game. It was his first start for the Pelicans. He played 29 minutes at 4,200. Josh Richardson going to be looking pretty interesting. If we project him for 29 minutes, we'd have him up at 25 fantasy points at 4,200. So I think Josh Richardson kind of interesting here.
So Dyson Daniels is available. Right, he's the other guy. It's a teensy bit crowded, but he is starting, right? So you would like to think that even though he's going to, his usage will tick down, we're hoping it solidifies his minutes. And if he can get that fourth quarter rotation or the fourth rotation, depending, I haven't looked at his game logs in a while to see how they're employing him there. But most players get 2, 3, or 4 rotations depending on the different combinations, etc. I think you're on to something there. This would be the pivot, the move away from, say, a Taylor Horton Tucker or a Jordan Clarkson, I think.
Yeah.
Do I like it? Well, I don't know. I was a little nervous about playing Kawhi Leonard last night. That worked out.
Quentin Grimes.
Things happen. Right? We can guess, we can speculate, we can make educated decisions as best we can. I would probably only play Richardson on DraftKings. I don't think I'd play him on FanDuel.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the Knicks starting lineup is what it has been.
Sorry, it's already locked. I didn't circle back on the Pacers, but we had Neesmith and Nembhard were starting.
Yep.
Kind of as expected.
Yeah.
Am I buzzing off that coffee? A little bit, but it was more the lack of sleep last night. I thought if I didn't have the coffee, I could have made it through an hour show, a 90-minute show. No dice.
Just too buzzed on that big win, right?
I'm still excited about the big win because I can cruise on over there to Yahoo and say, holy cow, $4,000 last night. That was fun. Marquee Music Group would like to point out that everything that is happening right now is going to be how the slate plays out.
That is true.
And I guess that is the way we're going to invalidate that late game, right? That 240 thing, because it's not going to go off while we're on air. So clearly it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Let's go over here. I want to talk a couple things here on some sports wagering, right? So we do tons of free recommended wagers. We have multiple shows on OddsShopper. We have multiple videos on demand. We have multiple videos on demand here on Stokastic YouTube channel. We've got articles on OddsShopper, and then even within our articles on Stokastic, our DFS articles, we're feathering in different sports wagering. So I'm going to drop the link to my article in there. But I do want to say that my wager that I like today is the under of 10.5 rebounds on Joel Embiid. You're going to say, well, why would you do that? Embiid is a monster on the boards. Well, maybe. In his 46 games so far this season, only 23 times, so half has he gotten 11 or more. We were projecting him, at least when I pulled this, was 10.1 rebounds. That's a 60% likelihood he falls under. Why does it seem to be a little bit lower than the half the time? Well, he's also going against Time Lord. He's going against Tatum. He's going against, a variety of other players here. His per 36 numbers for his career are 12.9 per 36 this year, 10.6. His career rebounds per game, 11.3 this year, 10.3. I've hit on this one a few times. I think this is a game that may be a little bit more deliberate, and he's going against a lot of bigs. I would prefer to take the under on his rebounds, not his scoring, mind you, because what is he, second or third in the league, averaging 30.3 points per game? His rebounds. Do I think he's a bad fantasy? No, I don't. But I don't think he gets 11 rebounds tonight. 11's a big number.
That's
the league leader is 12. Last I looked was 12.3. It was Domantas Sabonis.
I'm a big believer in just trusting the tools on these bets because they are going to do better than I am.
Indeed.
So when the tools like the under, I'm in.
Yeah, that's what BetPro. I mean, I know we all like to root for the overs, but when you're staring at BetPro there, by the way, free 7-day trial. Go through the link below us here in the YouTube description. If you're looking at BetPro, you start to realize that, you know what? There's two sides to every bet. There's overs and there are unders. And if you can find where the sports sites are not quite keeping up on things. They're pretty sharp, but they're hanging numbers. If you can act quickly, that may not be the best. Does that mean they're wrong? Well, maybe when you're using Matt Gajewski's college basketball and college football projections over there in PrizePicks, you can find some significant differences. But even on the other stuff, we're playing on the margins here, and every little thing you can put in your favor by using OddsShopper or BetPro or looking at PrizePicks versus a sports site versus the other site similar to PrizePicks to find the better multiplier, who's giving you the free bet back and all of that. Those little things add up. That keeps us from having to redeposit. It keeps us having fun. And that's the name of the game here, is having fun. So the BetPro, I think you guys should all give that a try. That it's got a 2.2% ROI. Ooh, yay, 2.2%. That's 2.2% for every bet that's been posted. So essentially, if you bet $100 a day, that's, a 2.2% return. You get in a year, that's about what your savings account gets. This is basically per day, per bet. It does add up. You don't have to have a huge bankroll to really get into sports wagering. And with sites like PrizePicks, building out the parlays, you're getting 2x, 3x, 5x. Stay in that lower area. Play their little contests. Use their bet, risk-free bets, or use their bonus dollars, and watch it add up. That's a good deal. It's a good deal. All right, let's see if we can find a couple other wagers here. I've got to chat up here.
First, I just got to say, if Andrew Nemhart is not in your lineup is dead. You can just quit for the day. He's already got 7 fantasy points in 2 minutes.
Oh my God. Yeah. He's going to have like 100 fantasy points.
Game over. That's right. He's on pace.
Huh. Interesting. I don't know.
Kevin Love, on the other hand, if you locked in Kevin Love, like I didn't quite lock him in, but just 1.25 fantasy points in 2 minutes.
That doesn't sound like very much. Now I'm sad.
Yeah.
The coffee can't pick me up now. It's just not going to work. We got the Knicks started. The Knicks starting lineup, as expected: Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randall, Robinson. Same thing for, I think we already talked about New Orleans, but yeah, because you talked about Richardson, but just to round that out: CJ, Colin Richardson, Herb Jones, B.I., Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas. And then let's look at a couple other things here on the old BetPro. Let's hit refresh here. So it's pulling in the wagers, the wager information about every 2 to 3 minutes. We are kind of scraping that. Some of the sites have APIs, etc. And then it's updating. So that's constantly happening. And then we tag it. So like we just redid our projections 2 minutes ago, right? So this is hot off the press. Once again, FanDuel, you get that Brandon Ingram at basically even money, -104, under 1.5 3-pointers. That is our best expected win today, or win rate. If we look at our EV, our expected value, if we're looking at some of the big win rates, these don't necessarily pay out a lot, but some of them you can use as part of your parlays and multi-leg parlays and put in to get boosters. You can look at the blocks unders. Boring, but that's something that pays off. You can also look at 0.5 free throws and over. That's something that PrizePicks has put up recently. Josh Engelman has had a lot of success for that. Josh Engelman is putting out a PrizePicks video every day. You've got Eric Lindquist doing PrizePicks content every day, both in his Discord channel as well as in front of the paywall and videos, and the Lindy's leans, likes, and locks overnight. So we're covering you in a variety of manners here.
EMac, did you see that the main event was just canceled for MMA?
No.
Yep.
Oh, but I can go late. No.
See, I'm a big proponent of no late swap, so I am.
Yeah. I'm totally just whatever.
I hate it. I hate that it was canceled, because now we're going to get that those people are going to want late swap back, and I don't think that it's a good thing overall. I prefer no late swap, but definitely sucks to have the main event canceled when I think I just read that 83% of people have at least one fighter in their lineups.
I know I'm close to 90%, because it was, if I remember correctly, I don't even know who the fight was, but they were relatively evenly enough matched that you could build your lineups in a certain way that everything hinged on that. If you got the other 4 or 5 fighters right, you could.
Yeah.
Did they say why?
I have not heard. I haven't been paying attention. I just saw it in chat and then confirmed on Twitter, but haven't seen why it's canceled.
I don't like the day of, unless it's like food poisoning or something, right? We get the COVID things and all that, but it's unfortunate because the main event that got canceled, what was that, like 7-8 weeks ago when the first week they did the late swap, and magically, of course, it happened for that one. But
it's a bummer.
Now I'm really bummed out. I'm just gonna go eat
Me
some
too.
pizza and go to bed.
Yeah.
But PrizePicks, what else can we bring to you over here on PrizePicks? How about the James Harden over on assists? PrizePicks has the number at 9. We've got him for 10.2. That's a 64% success rate. I think the Zach Collins 7.5 rebounds over there on PrizePicks, we have him for 8.7. It's a 63% chance of success. I like that one. Hey, look, here's the under 11. So you get, that's actually better than the under 10.5 that the books are putting out. PrizePicks is you get under 11 rebounds for Joel Embiid. So you get the push here, and it doesn't hurt you. As long as you have at least 3 picks in your card, it takes out Embiid, gives you 2. If you have a 2-player card and you lose one of them, then you can't do it. It's always got to be a 2-player card. The only rules you have on PrizePicks, you got to pick players from 2 different teams. You can't pick a player twice unless they are part of a team or a grouping. But then you can only pick one other player who's in those groups, like the home run trios, or they've started doing touchdown trios. But they have PrizePicks has second half, first half NBA. They've got full game NBA right now. Let's talk about what they have: NHL, college basketball, soccer, MMA, CS:GO, NBA first half, a bunch of esports. I have no idea what they are. XFL, Eurogolf, tennis, boxing, League of Legends, NASCAR, disc golf. I didn't know you have fantasy disc golf, cricket, Call of Duty, NFL season long, and MLB season long. Wow, this feels like a great replacement if my state is not enlightened in giving us sports wagering, like if I lived in Minnesota or someplace like that. Just re-engaging like you there, Neil. Just
yeah, that's I appreciate that. EMac, I got to break in and tell you that if you don't have Mark Williams, your night is over. Mark Williams, 16 DraftKings points, not even halfway through the first quarter, and 18. I believe.
Did you move the decimal to the wrong place? Seriously? 18 FanDuel points. He's got 8 rebounds already, 2 blocks, and 2 points. That is just. I played a lot of Mark Williams yesterday, and of course he played 17 minutes. Maybe he's not going to get full run, but man, he has 16 fantasy points already. Now he's halfway through the first quarter, 16 fantasy points. Do you want to know how many lineups I have Mark Williams in?
I want to know only if it's greater than 0.
I have Nick Richards in 2 lineups.
Okay, that's something.
I do not have Mark Jones in the lineup.
Man,
oops.
That's
Kelly Olynyk. You better play because
I talked about Mark Williams. I was like, I thought I should probably get to some Mark Williams, but then doing a show before lock, it gets a little bit tough. And he wasn't one of the guys I gave any kind of boost to, and he didn't project well enough for us. I mean, he's only at 16 fantasy points, so I'm joking when I say your night is over if you don't have him.
I'm not joking.
He could put up 30 fantasy points. Your night's not over. But he's off to a nice start. If you got him at 1.5% on DraftKings, man, I'm jealous of you.
Almost 1,100 people still watching. Come on, hit that like button. The wimps who already left didn't hit it on the way out. We didn't get the 500 yet. A pox upon them. By the way, we're starting this all over again tomorrow, 10 a.m. You're going to get the NBA DFS strategy show. That is going to be with Dave Loughren. I love how his nickname's Laffy, but his last name is Loughren.
That is funny. It's interesting. I'm going to start calling him Locky.
Draft Cheat did back when we were at
Did he really?
You should
Nice.
too. It'll go over well.
Yeah.
It'll go over well. He'll just ignore you is all he'll do if you do that. Oh, people were asking, what are you drinking?
Just a good old fashioned Sam Adams Boston Lager. Takes me back to my college days. Maybe we do have it in Minnesota. It just has not been a priority. I feel like when I was in college in Boston, Sam Adams was kind of like the go-to, the default. It's not really the default here in Minnesota, but saw it at the liquor store. I thought I'd like some Sam Adams, just the nostalgia factor.
Are you feeling nostalgic for Kevin Love right now?
I'm feeling pretty good about this Kevin Love night. Yeah. We had people saying he wasn't a good play. He's at 13 fantasy points, 7 minutes into the game, as expected with Kevin Love.
Great producer. He's scored one more point than Mark Williams. That's something.
That has he? Oh, one more real life point?
One more real life point.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, better than last night, right? Ooh, Mark Williams just lost something. They took away one of his blocks. So, guys, we're live. Us Williams faders, we're live because they took away a block.
And Kevin Love has a block. When was the last time that happened?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably the last night, but Jonas Valanciunas. His game logs versus Walker Kessler game logs, the block column. Ne'er the twain shall meet. That was Kevin Love's first block in this month. No, second block of the month. He's only played in 2 games. Last month, he had 1 block.
Stephen Lewis asked, where in Boston did I go to school? It is a school that is a joke on multiple TV shows. 30 Rock made a reference to it. I believe it was Elaine Bennis's backup school in Seinfeld. I was also where the psychologist in The Sopranos went to school. Tufts University I went to outside of Boston.
That's I'm aware of that one. All right, we've got about 7 minutes to go. I don't see any new news popping up here, so that is good. Oops, somebody messaged me. What did they say?
Wendell Carter has 3 fouls already. Man, that's rough.
Actually, this is a good question. I will answer it. Lucky, if you are watching, he says, "Hey, Matt, congrats on the Yahoo. Big quick question for you. How do you late swap on Yahoo? I always end up late swapping instead by hand instead of uploading by CSV. So Yahoo has been building out their CSV capabilities. It's still kludgy. It's better than it was. It's not as good. DraftKings has the best. FanDuel is second, and then at least they have CSV uploads. I typically only play a couple hand-built lineups on Yahoo when I'm playing, though I will be going over there most likely for MLB this year. So I'm going to need to figure that out a little bit better. Fortunately, you don't have to late swap as much in baseball. Why am I only going to play baseball over there? Because I don't want to late swap on Yahoo because it's a pain in the ass. That's the short answer, but I'll explain a better answer for you. You can do it. You used to only be able to download CSVs for each contest. You can now do it across your whole lineups over there on Yahoo, but it's a little trickier than the other sites. Also, the same thing that makes them unique, which is their kind of season-long-esque salary cap, does cause some problems when you're trying to do late swaps. You have to be prepared to just leave $5 off unused. You can't set a real tight cap because the position eligibility and the wonky salaries can really impact you.
My husband likes to late swap me.
Who said that?
Sorry, I appreciated that comment. Megan S.
Family show.
Nobody told me.
I see Al's in chat. Howdy, Al. What's up, Ron? Guitar Man swapping from front to back. Well, it's probably be the direction you want to go. Going the other way, not very sanitary. Let's see. Wendell Carter, 3 fouls. You did mention that. Top veterinarian school in the world, Tufts University.
That's true.
We call this part of the show the encore. 4 minutes left. And then we can get some dinner here. What is going to be dinner in the Orfield household tonight?
We're going out for dinner tonight. We ate in today.
Nice.
We often go out on the weekends. I don't think we've decided. There's a place called St. Paul Tap, which I've never been to. There's like a lot of fun games and stuff there. We've talked about maybe going there. My wife is going to see if somebody wanted to go with us there because it's like a kind of place you go with friends, but not sure yet where we're going.
All right. Shout out there to Melissa. She's sweating 2 different Rainmaker lineups. She does not have any main entry fighters. Oh, that sounds like nice. A good spot to be.
It's a good place to be.
Melissa, a very good spot to be. T. McBee says he pictures lots of flannel and axe throwing wherever you go tonight.
We do. I've been axe throwing once, and I got to say, I was pretty good at it. It's like a popular thing. Like you drink beer and you throw axes at targets. I enjoyed it.
This sounds a little more risky than darts and beer.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
It's not plastic tipped axes, right? It's actual.
No, these are real axes. Throwing at wood, they got a stick in there.
Oh boy,
it's like a popular thing. I think it's across the country, not just Minnesota, but I could be wrong.
Oh, they're saying I'm winning an XFL contest. There we go. Well, that would be entirely Matt Gajewski's doing. And I am winning the XFL Showdown for $40.
$40, huh?
What are we? Probably 3 series into the game.
We could start.
Hey, I've got the Vipers in captain. It's a unique entry.
Oh yeah.
As soon as they give up a score, then we've got some problems. But yeah.
Martavis Bryant starting off with negative points, -1 rushing yard. Sorry, nobody cares about XFL. No.
I do. I've got both defenses in this lineup. So I hope it's a 3-0 game. I did not know that there were 1, 2, and 3 point extra points after touchdown.
Ryan Nelson says Neil was pretty good. He killed the guy in his first. Oh yeah, got him right between the eyes.
Boy,
natural.
EMac, do you have any birthday plans? I'm going out to see my mom, but it's before my birthday, a couple weeks before. But we will celebrate my birthday in April when I'm out there.
Wait, is it your birthday today?
No, in April.
Okay.
But
okay. I saw, somebody said happy birthday to you earlier, and I just assumed it was
yes, well, every day's my birthday. It was Fred VanVleet's birthday today.
Ooh, similar.
So just throwing that out there.
Funny.
Nobody else exciting, but he is my favorite player. Zubac is out. Of course he is.
That's tomorrow.
That's for tomorrow. Oh, that's what we copy says. Zubac out. Oh, sorry. That's from tomorrow. The E in EMac stands for elite. Okay. I will take it. Much like I will take the 556 people who hit the thumbs up. We're still holding strong at about 800 here. Hit that thumbs up on the way out. We can probably get to 600. Nope. Now we're at 557 because I just hit it. Neil, you better hit it too. You too, yeah. Mr. Lawrence behind the scenes. And then we're going to have some fun. I'm going to go have some dinner. And hey, I'd love to stay up for another double overtime game if it's going to win me $4,000 on Yahoo. I don't think that's in the cards tonight. But I've got a little bit riding on a parlay that ends with Gonzaga. I'm going to give a shout out there to in the Stokastic Discord, the premium Discord betting section, Mr. Shander, Mr. Gajewski, and Dr. Ben Rossa. Bring the heat with college basketball. It's a lot of fun there. You can build out some parlays, throw in a couple heavy money line favorites so your boosters can be engaged on those. Again, I've now signed up for 5 different sports books, so I've always got something up my sleeve. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. Final thoughts as we slide on out of here.
Yeah, let's go. Kevin Love is my final thought. Pick it up. Jimmy Butler is my second thought. Greg, please don't beat his ass until after the game.
All right, that works for me. You could find Neil over on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I noticed you also launched a high stakes episode this week. You want to give a quick moment on that?
Yeah, Graceful DFS was the guest. Not a well-known guy, but he got second place in the DraftKings MLB Live Final for $500,000. He recently won a ticket to the NBA Final where he shouted out Greg and Eric for their picks. They helped him make a lineup that was good enough to get him a ticket to the NBA Final. Really, he's been a successful high-stakes player, so check that out.
Very nice. You could find me at EMac DFS to see people asking about my birthday. Brijal is April 23rd. Flying Arm Bars April 24th. I am April 30th. Used to share that with Willie Nelson until I learned Willie Nelson celebrates 2 birthdays. It is true. He celebrates April 30th. And I forget if it's the 29th or the 1st because the town hall was not open.
Mike is trying to play you out.
So they did not register his birthday on his actual.
You can't play EMac out, Mike. He's not going anywhere.
Got to learn. I didn't hear the secret word. Jordan Klein and I have the secret word. The secret word is pizza, which I'm going to go have some for dinner here. But with that, we are going to get on out of here. Shout out to Mike, the producer. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, PrizePicks. Good luck, gamers.